Good morning, guys. Make sure you go ahead and comment on the video post as usual that you're present. Every time I post a video, it's pretty much an assignment that's gonna accompany it. So if you don't have your laptop today, just make sure you get the assignment done when you can, right? Alright then, let's just get right into it. For today's lesson, we're going to cover data validation, and we're gonna discuss more or less what it's about, what is data validation used in Excel, and briefly cover one aspect of it. Then we're gonna go ahead and create a list in our spreadsheets. This list will be a list of foods covering breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So the whole point of data validation, at least one of the uses, is that when you're doing Excel files and working in an office, there's a case that a lot of times many people will be working on one Excel file, and in these cases you want to try and make sure that the information they enter is the right information. That's where data validation comes in. If you break down the words in data validation, you get data, in other words information, and you get validation, which is when you check if something's correct, right? So that's pretty much all it is in this case, is that we're checking that the information is correct. There'll be cases when one accountant would work on an Excel file and they would hand over that file to another accountant and they might make changes, but what if the accountant that got the file ends up making or entering the wrong information? Then when the first accountant gets back the Excel file, they'll have wasted time because they got the incorrect information. So for today, we're gonna basically look at one way in which we can limit user errors and set a data validation within a cell so that only the intended information is going to be entered and not the wrong information. So go ahead and open Excel if you haven't already. Go ahead and open a Google Sheet if you're using Sheets. So what we're gonna do is basically create 3 columns. In these 3 columns, we're gonna put the 3 meals that we usually eat during a day. So let's start by putting in breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What we want to do now is to format our columns to make it look a bit better. You guys should remember how to do this. If not, well, I'm doing it now. So go ahead and format your rows and columns to 25 if you're using Excel. Maybe about 250 if you're using Sheets. So now we're gonna go ahead and center everything so that it looks a little bit better. And we're gonna go ahead and bold the headers up here just so that they look different from the list that we're gonna type out now. So let's put some breakfast items here, guys. So when you're doing this assignment, you can enter your own breakfast foods, or you can use the same list that I'm using now. And let's go ahead and put cereal. Lunch, well, I see you guys eating some of these stuff at school, so let's just go ahead and type in some of these. What else? I see you guys eating wings. See you guys eating burgers. And then sometimes I see you guys bringing packed lunch, right? And we're gonna go ahead and fill in dinner. Dinner is kind of close to lunch. I see people eating the same thing for dinner sometimes. Sometimes I see people buying fried chicken out at Lychee. Sometimes I see people eating fried rice at night. Sometimes I see people eating something lighter, like tortilla and beans with chicken. Sometimes I see people just eating sandwiches for dinner, something light. And the last one, I guess, could put wings. I've seen people eating wings for dinner as well. So this is our list. I want you, for your assignment, to do this list and also go ahead and rename the sheet to food list down here. I want you to go ahead and add a new sheet, rename that, and we're going to call that the food schedule. So for today, all we're going to do is to create the list, right? We're going to rename the sheet to say the food list, and then another sheet to say food schedule. We're going to complete the food schedule in our next class, which is I think Tuesday. So this file here is going to be used for today's assignment, and then also is going to be reused for next week's assignment. That way you don't have to retype your list over and format it over again. Kind of like what we did with our class schedule, where we just formatted it and then the next day we went and completed it ourselves. So this is your list. Now imagine down here that's highlighted, I'm gonna give a little example of how our schedule will look like, right? So let's say for breakfast we're gonna list out the 5 days from Monday to Friday what we're gonna eat. So from 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 will represent Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Now, am I going correct? Right? Does this look correct to you? Is breakfast pizza, barbecue, meat pie? No. Based on the list given, none of these options are here. But there's nothing here to stop me from putting these options. And that's not what we want, right? We want the correct answers. We want items that are available. What if this list is all you have? And then you're there going and putting these different items, and guess what? When it's time to eat breakfast, there's no place that's serving pizza. There's no place that has the barbecue ready. Meat pie, of course, you'll get lucky because meat pie is a breakfast item. It's just that it's not on our list. So, to enable data validation, and this is the important part, so please pay attention, guys. You click on the data tab and you go to where it says data tools right here where my arrow is around, and this little icon here is a small icon. You click on it. If you hover over it, it's going to tell you data validation, and the description says pick from a list of rules to limit the type of data that can be entered in a cell. Isn't that exactly what we want? That's exactly what we want to accomplish. We want to make sure that this list does not allow you to enter anything you want, but we're going to set the rules to enter only those found on this list. You click on that icon and you get this window here. You look at this and it says validation criteria. Criteria is just another word for conditions, right? So far, if you look at this, it says allow any value, which is why I could have put pizza and all those other options before. So we're going to change that by clicking on the arrow, and we're going to select list. Notice it has other options for different information. For example, date, time. For example, if you were doing a schedule that had to be on this day or that day, notice you can set your dates, but we have a list today, so we're going to select list. Notice it says Now ignore blank and in cell drop down. Leave those checked, don't need to touch that. What we're gonna need to do now is to give it the source. We say that there's a list. Now we need to tell the program, well, where is this list? Well, luckily for us, the list is found on the same sheet. You have to click on the source line here, and then you can proceed to go ahead and click on cell A2. What you're gonna do is click with your mouse, left click, but do not let go. If you look at the source now back in the window, it goes and insert A2 for you. You'll notice the dollar signs. That's something called absolute referencing to cell addresses. I'll cover that topic another time. For now, just know that A2 has been selected and I'm still holding on to my left mouse click. Now I'll begin to drag, and when it drags, you'll notice it's gonna add the columns and the addresses for me. Now I have gone to A3, so it knows that I want my list to be from A2 to A3. As I drag my mouse more, it goes to A4, A5, A6, 7, and 8. Now that I have my entire list, I can let go of the mouse. When I let go of my mouse click, you'll notice it says the source is from A2, and the colon, means range, means from A2 all the way to A8. When I click OK, I want you to pay attention to the cell that I have highlighted here. Now you see a little arrow has appeared. This arrow allows you to select from the list which we have set the rules from. Now it helps to not allow someone to enter the wrong information. If you're selecting items from a list, there's very little room for error at this point. Now you're not gonna put barbecue because there's no barbecue in this list. And then if I go ahead and click on this, and let's say I still want barbecue, you can type it out, but when I press enter, it will tell me this value doesn't match the data validation restrictions. So it tells you that this value isn't allowed. You can't put barbecue. We already said that the list is from A2 to A8. There's no barbecue there. So you click retry and you enter something that's proper. If you move away or if you try to click the arrow, it will still show this. What you have to do is click on cancel. It's gonna pick one for you. Or if you click on retry, you're gonna have to type out the proper answer. I don't know about you, but I think it's a lot easier to just click on the arrow and select the food item for Monday. And the advantage of this is that with your schedule, every week you can change what you're gonna eat. So if for next week I'm not craving pancakes for Monday, I can go ahead and update my schedule to put cereal, and I can do it quickly by just basically making a quick selection every week and adjusting my schedule accordingly. Now if you look at the other cells, these don't contain data validation, therefore I could type whatever I want. So what I'm gonna do now is select these 4 cells and I'm gonna add my data validation to those. It's the same procedure. You go ahead, click on the data tab found up here, click on this icon in data tools. It's a very small icon. Then you select list and then click source and select your source where the list is coming from. Click OK, and now when you go to each cell, all of them should have your arrows, obviously except for the ones that you did not highlight before. Alright, so if this was my schedule, I'd be eating waffles on Monday, egg and bread on Tuesday, pancakes on Wednesday, tacos on Thursday, and buying a burrito on Friday. So again, we could do the same thing for lunch, we could do the same thing for dinner, but this doesn't look really appealing for a for a food schedule, right? So this was more just a demonstration. Next week on this sheet here, we're going to create a properly labeled borders, the whole styling and formatting applied, a nice meal schedule. Alright, this is just a demonstration just to see how we apply the data validation. So for your assignment, I'm gonna delete that. For your assignment, I want you to create a list of foods, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Make sure everything is centered, like how these are centered. Make sure the top row are bolded in terms of style, and make sure you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 foods for each day. You can repeat some of them if they make sense for dinner and lunch. Go ahead, save this file and upload it onto the form that I have set for you guys for assignment day 4, name class. So we're gonna save this because we're gonna use this same file next week. Alright, so for those of us who are just joining, make sure you rewatch the video after I have finished streaming. Let me check the time. Alright, so I'm gonna spend the last few minutes to show you guys how to do what we just did in Google Sheets. So for those of you who are using it, I'm gonna delete this cell. Alright, so I have a list here of breakfast items, and down here is where I'm gonna give a demo or an example of a breakfast schedule. And I'm just gonna go ahead and apply the validation on multiple cells at once. And for data validation in Sheets, it's also a tab that says data up here, except instead of an icon, you click on what it says, data validation, right here. And the functionality will basically be the same. It's gonna look different though. So the cell range means which cell you're gonna apply this rule on. The criteria selects lists by default, so you don't really have to change this. If you want, you can change it to the different types, just like in Excel. We're gonna keep list from a range because we are gonna set this list here, which is a range. So this field here that's beside the list from a range option is our source, so it's our data source here. So we're gonna go ahead, click and drag, don't let go until you've reached the end, and click OK. Once you click OK, it has your range. And now I want you to take a look here where it says on invalid data. It has show warning selected. If you have show warning selected, it's not gonna say that it's invalid when you put in barbecue or pizza. It's just gonna show a little red flag, and that little red flag will still let you put barbecue and pizza and any item that's not on the list. However, if you wanted to literally say, alright, you can't do that, put reject input. This will literally reject whatever input, whatever data has been entered that's not valid. So I clicked save. Sorry, let me do that again. Highlight this, data validation, sheet A12 to A16, save. Alright, I'm not sure why that's not working right now. Let me do one at a time. Yep. Oh, show drop down list in cell, sorry. Alright, so what I forgot to do was to select this option here, show drop down list in cell. That's so that when you click the arrow, it displays the list for you guys. So if I put waffles, that's valid, but remember, if I go ahead and put pizza, which isn't in the list, it'll tell you there was a problem. This violates the rules set on this cell. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the drop down list for these cells here. Now if I select show warning instead, this is what's gonna happen. See, it doesn't print any message. It lets me put in pizza, but it puts a little red flag there that says, alright, this is invalid. But because you said to just show a warning, that's what we're doing. If you want it to reject, you have to put reject input. Make sure that this is always checked where it says show the drop down list, so that you can get these arrows to select a proper item from the list. Alright, so if you're done, go ahead and send the work like Davish. The assignment for those who just joined us is to recreate this food list here. Name the sheet food list, create a new sheet, call it food schedule. It's an empty sheet which we're gonna create on the next class. Make sure the top row is bold, everything is centered, both vertically and horizontally. And go ahead and add these food items for me. If you want, you can change the food items. It's up to you. That's the assignment. Post this up, guys. It shouldn't take too long, maybe 5 minutes max. No validation is happening here. It's just a list of food under the meal or under the time that we would eat this food. Yeah, no need to do the days of the week yet. We're gonna do that next week. This is our food list. This is where we're gonna get our list from. On this sheet, this is for next week. I'll give you a video to do this one, right? This one is when we actually put in the days, and then we're gonna put in the list, and then we're gonna make it look nice. All right, post where? Let me go ahead and set the post now. I'm trying to post this after the video so that people don't go ahead and put in their names and class and then submitting that. So now I'm posting it so that now you know there's a video, there's an assignment. Please don't submit just your name and class. Please make sure you submit your spreadsheet link found up here or your Excel file, okay? Alright guys, that's it for today. Enjoy your weekend. Make sure you stay safe, sanitize. And next week, what I'm thinking is maybe to reduce the live streams and maybe just go ahead and posting a pre-recorded videos for you guys and be online between maybe from 9 o'clock to 11 or 8 to 11, because I think it's kind of difficult having you guys have to be online a certain time. You guys have things to do. Rather, I might just submit a video that has been pre-recorded and let you guys just contact me during 8 to 11 and I can answer questions. Alright, this doesn't have a due date as usual. Just get it done. This is such an easy assignment. I'm expecting it to be done today, and next week we're gonna use this same file to do our meal plan for an entire week. So it's beneficial if you already have it done, especially for doing next week assignment. I'm gonna check all these works right before Easter. So right before Easter vacation starts, that's when I'll be checking all the work at once. That's why I'm giving you as much time as you need to submit the work. You have to do this because we're going to do a meal plan next week. So if you don't do this now, you're gonna have to do this again anyways next week. Again guys, it's so easy, just please do it. I'm giving you guys the total benefit of the doubt. That's why there's no due date. Work with me guys, seeing as how I'm working with you. Alright, if there's no more questions, I'm gonna end the video here and go and eat lunch, and I think you guys should do the same. All this talk about food, it's making me hungry. Alright guys, see you next week.